Actually, what happens if you plug this in to a non-lightning? Does it still charge? Like a Rivian that's not like looking for CCS?
It's charging now.
Oh, duh. Gosh, why am I such an idiot?
I thought it was a trick question.
No, I was
because
thinking
he's so like I'm thinking Kyle's thinking next level. I'm missing what he's trying to say, and I look stupid. But I'm glad that wasn't the case.
Right, I answered my own question here. So, hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You join me with my good friend Tom from State of Charge.
Hello, everyone.
And I've rated your house.
I see that. I made Rate Your Charge.
That's right. We made a Rate Your Charge update on Twitter. I gave you a terrible score, but you offered us pizza. So.
Yeah, but what can I say? Only 2 out of 20 chargers are working here, so how can I expect a good score?
I can't wait to show you guys what Tom has going on in his house, because for those of you who don't know about his YouTube channel, State of Charge, it's all about charging and level 2 home charger reviews. Not just like I plug it into the car and it works like we do. He's like putting it in freezers and dropping things, and it's just crazy. So of course the crazy mad scientist has a crazy mad lab in here. I can't wait to show you everything going on. We'll take you on a tour of what he's driving, what he's got at his house, and probably the most complicated electrical setup at any residence in the US.
I think that's been documented before by the many electricians that have looked at it and been like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'll figure it out. We had to hire an engineer to come and make it work.
So we're going to take you on a full tour of the wiring, the units, Tom's impressions of everything going on in this video. So strap in, because I'm sure it's going to be a long one, but it's going to be super nerdy because we're here hanging out. Tom, we're outside starting with the vehicles.
All right.
And, you know, I've known you from back in the Mini E days. You were in the BMW Museum. We've documented this on the Inside EVs podcast, which we do every week on Friday. If you don't listen, maybe you should. It's probably the worst way to start your weekend, actually. But we do a podcast on electric cars. And you had the Mini E, you had the BMW Active E, which was a 1 Series.
All electric 1 Series.
So what's cool is BMW's right down the road.
Yeah, up in Woodcliff Lake.
And what got you involved with that briefly? Because you did a full like journey thing with my dad on his channel.
So really quickly, I'd always been interested in alternative fuel vehicles, and I was always a car guy. I mean, you know, we've talked about this. I put a nitrous oxide kit on my Honda CRX. I had a twin turbo Mazda RX-7. I've always been a car guy. But I was always interested in new technology. So one day I just stumbled on this website that said, do you want to drive an electric car? And it's BMW was taking applications for this pilot program with an all-electric Mini Cooper. And I was like, well, Mini Coopers are cool. You know, electric cars, maybe they're cool. I don't know. I never driven one. So yeah, let me apply. And I applied. And part of the reason why I got accepted was you just mentioned, because BMW's headquarters is really close from here. And they wanted the participants to be close in case the vehicles needed to go to headquarters, like if the dealer couldn't deal with a service problem with it.
So they did New York metro area and California, because they have an Oxnard.
They have the Oxnard. So yeah, you had to live close to Woodcliff Lake or close to Oxnard. And they had 500 people in the program. It ran for a couple of years. And it's what got me involved with electric vehicles. 2009, 2010, I drove the electric Mini Cooper. I've been hooked ever since.
Well, it's funny. I actually knew of you back then because I watched at a Mini dealer one of your interviews going, and you had the FOPEC license plate, which was great. And I remember your solar panels on the house. Because did you have the solar before the car?
No, so I got the Mini Cooper, and I didn't know if this was going to work or not. I was like, it might not even go up a hill, you know, like I might be out pushing the thing. And but you know, as soon as I drove it, I was like, you know, holy, you know, this is freaking nuts, the instant torque. So I had it about 2 months, and then I said, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to drive electric cars from now on. They're so freaking cool, so I'm going to make my own fuel. And I immediately went out and got estimates and put a solar array on my house.
And you went big, especially for back then.
Yeah.
So how many kilowatts is this?
So it's a 9 kW system.
Which was almost unheard of back then.
It's 39 panels. It's as many panels as I can get on the roof. That same size system now would be like a 15 kilowatt for the same footprint. But I bought the best, most efficient panels in 2009. So, you know, that was the cream of the crop back then.
And take a look, you just have random electric car friends pulling up
this?
here. Here's our friend Pete. And so, and crashes into a stone wall. No, that would be really funny. No. So it'd be great to see Pete in a little bit.
Yeah.
But you went through that, you upgraded out of the Mini E program, which, did they crush all the cars?
So yeah, most of them they did, but the crazy thing, and I don't even know if I've ever told anybody this, so they decommissioned the cars. My car was pretty famous. They were all labeled, they all had side scuttle numbers, and I was Mini E number 250, and I had been in a lot of news articles and so forth. So what BMW took my car and brought it back to Germany, and they took it all apart. And years later, like 9 years later, somebody from BMW reached out to me and was like, look, we've got your side scuttle, we've got your speedometer, we've got your clock, we've got all the parts of your car. We made like desk memorabilia out of the parts from your car because it was so popular. Do you want it?
Really?
And I was like, yeah. So
I
they put it in a
heard- you
box
told me this, yes.
and sent it to me, and I have all the stuff here, like all
Amazing.
actual parts from my Mini E.
Crazy.
Yeah, cool.
So now, I mean, you've had Teslas, you've had,
I had 2 BMW i3s,
Yeah.
2 Model 3s, the Active-E, the i3.
and now these two.
Yeah, these
So
two
why do
beasts.
you have 2 electric pickup trucks? Because that's like they do the same thing.
So for the most part, but they couldn't be any different, but yeah, I've always had a pickup truck, and I always seem to need one. I used to own commercial property, I used to own a restaurant. I always needed a pickup truck to haul stuff around, and I used to plow my driveway. The driveway is super long
Yeah,
here
it
as well,
is, yeah.
you know. So I always had a pickup truck, and I always said, as soon as there's an electric pickup truck, I'm gonna buy it. But then 2 trucks launched at once.
Right.
So I was like, well, how do I know which one to get? So I'll buy both. And
That
then,
is the most Tom thing
and then
ever.
I'll keep the one that I like most.
Right.
So I've had the Lightning for like 9 months now. I've had the Rivian for about 7 months. And I've got a pretty good opinion on what I like about each one. They're both so unique. They both have aspects about them that I like better than the other truck. But to really make it just really simple, the F-150 is a truck. And this guy here is a cool, awesome adventure vehicle.
It's a
so
lifestyle
that's the easiest
vehicle.
way
Yeah.
to put it. That thing is a truck over there, and
Yeah.
and this isn't.
Right.
This is like a mixture between a Jeep and I don't even know what else, but something like an adventure vehicle.
Sure. I mean, you guys know I own one of these, and best vehicle I think I've ever owned. I love it. But when I need to like do stuff with it, I even called you a few weeks ago. I'm like, Tom, yeah, I know your friend has a Lightning for
Yeah.
sale. Like, hook me up.
Yeah, I'm sorry that fell.
No,
that
it's
fell
okay.
through. Somebody beat you to it. Like evidently somebody sent the order like 10 minutes before you
I know.
did.
I was ready to buy a Lightning
Yeah.
because I need a bigger bed.
Yeah.
I can barely put 4 wheels and tires in this thing. I love the way it tows.
Yeah.
But I really wanted a Lightning, also for vehicle to grid and
Yeah.
vehicle to load stuff.
It's cool.
So Rivian R1T long range, best color combo here, green with the Ocean Coast interior,
yeah.
and this is the forest green.
Yeah.
And then the Lightning is a Lariat, so pretty high spec, one down from the top.
Yep.
But then let's just show everyone, you put some KO2s on it.
Yeah, I threw some KO2s on it just because I like the way they look better more than anything.
Yeah, they
And
really do.
And in the winter, these are dedicated snow tires, but these do perform really well in snow and slush. I used to put these on all my trucks.
Oh,
and,
cool.
And yeah, they're by far my favorite like all-terrain tire, the KO2s. They're fantastic.
And what's going on here?
Yeah,
Looks
so-
pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, so I tinted the light bar. And for those that don't know what it usually looks like on the Lightning has this is a light bar that goes all the way across, and it's like a milky white plastic, and it
Ford
just
really messed up.
it really doesn't look good. I mean, the Rivian has a light bar, but that looks cool. This, it looks like cheap white plastic, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't take it. So I got this, it's Lux headlight tint, and I had a shop do it, a local shop that does all my window tinting, and he nailed it. It looks awesome. I think it really gives the whole front a really good look.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And so sounds like this is, if you kind of had to choose one, sounds like you're leaning in the Lightning. I mean, here's my impression. I talk to you all the time. You're always talking about this. You love this truck. This, you're like never bringing up.
Yeah, and I do love the Rivian, but I tell you, there's something. You know what I think it was? I knew I was going to love the Rivian because it's such a cool, clean sheet of paper, a startup. Their tech in that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And Ford made a F-150 that, they just used all the existing parts from the Lightning. I mean, it's all looks exactly the same as a F-150. I mean, and I figured it would be a good electric truck, but what happened was this has impressed me more than I thought it would, and I'm smitten with it.
Yeah.
More so than the Rivian Armor. I love the Rivian, but I really prefer driving this.
Yeah, just the way this thing cruises down the highway. It's so quiet. It seemingly, at least in the winter time, does pretty well. I watched your cold weather heater test video.
Yeah.
This did really well.
The heater bit was more efficient than the Rivian. I mean, it didn't have to deal with, say, vampire drains or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Whatever the drain is, the drain is.
You're still losing energy.
This, if you just leave it parked with the heat on, will last more than a day longer than the Rivian if they were both charged to 100%. So,
right.
And the frunk, I love this frunk.
Yeah.
That it opens up, from below the grill.
Yep.
And you get that waist access to load stuff. I use this frunk all the time. And the weird thing is I hardly ever use the frunk on the Rivian. And I think it's because I lift stuff up over it. Even like grocery shopping, I take the bags and I throw them in the back seat.
Right.
But when I do grocery shopping with the Lightning, on my way to the car, I pop the frunk and put everything in here. So it's weird. That could hold the groceries just fine, but I find myself just using this frunk all the time.
And once this gets the new Blue Cruise update with 2.1, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, it sounds like soon. Yeah. You got Pro Power on board, like it's awesome. Rivian sounds like they're going to unlock vehicle to load out the charging port. And they're great with software updates, better than Ford with software updates. Rivian really has supported this truck great. But
absolutely.
I couldn't agree. For what you do with your vehicle, which is a work truck, because you're always working, you got stuff around.
Use this thing all the time, work truck. I had the back loaded with garbage the other day. I'm doing a rip out of a bathroom at my parents' house, and I had toilets and sinks in the back and everything. and it's like I wouldn't have put them in the Rivian. First of all, it's too small.
Right.
I had that back just loaded to the gills.
Well, it's an F-150 and it's awesome, and we've made a lot of videos on it. But what I want to do is show everyone what's going on in here.
Okay.
So right now you'll notice the Lucid Air is charging. We brought this over. This is my dad's new car.
Really cool too.
And I brought it in with single-digit % state of charge. And just to kind of get the viewers in the nerdy mood for the moment, take a look at this. It's actually charging on AC power at about 17 kilowatts into the battery pack. So if you take a look right here, you'll see that 17 kilowatts right there on the screen. And the reason is we are hooked up to Tom's Ford Charge Station Pro, which is an 80 amp charger. So it's hooked up to a 100 amp circuit. We're going to see how this is all wired up. It's crazy. Well, cable's a little bit warmer than ambient, and we are just juicing this thing. High power AC charging happening really fast. So what I'd love to do is take you all on a tour on what's going on in here, have Tom walk us through everything. So let's get into that right now. So you join us inside the lair. Tom, you just had your garage redone by Garage Living. A little bit of help there. And also Qmerit helped a ton with all of your installations.
Yep, they did all the electrical work here. Qmerit's my channel sponsor, State of Charge sponsor, so of course they did all the electrical upgrades we needed, and it was significant amount of electrical upgrades that I did, not just for the garage here, but for the whole system and everything. I had to upgrade to a 400 amp service from 150 amp service, which was a huge deal.
Yeah, I mean, you had to put like a transformer on the street.
Yeah, we had to replace the transformer in front of my house, which I had to fight with the utility to cover because they wanted to charge me $9 grand for a transformer upgrade, but we were able to get them to cover it.
Great. So for those of you who are curious about all the nitty gritty, actually, I'm going to put the key to the Lucid over here because it keeps locking and unlocking.
It's like,
it does this every time I film with the Lucid. But for those of you who are really curious about, I mean, the real nitty gritty of your channel with cool graphs and everything of how this is all set up, I'll leave a link in the description of Tom's video where I mean, it's a pretty long video, and you go through like every little like wire run.
Yeah, and also how we did the floor. It's a new polyaspark floor. It's better than epoxy. This floor system I put in, all the slot walls and everything that I needed to do, and the cabinets and everything. Yeah, it came out really good. I'm super psyched about it. I needed it. I had been doing reviews out here in the garage for a few years, and I kind of just fixed up the garage and made it work. But now it's like, this is the state of charge garage. Now it's, I'm good to go.
I mean, it's so sick in here. You got sound absorption on the garage doors, on the ceiling, because I remember when you first put this in, we did a podcast and we were like, we're hearing 7 toms at once.
The sound was bouncing everywhere because everything's hard surfaces. So once I actually consulted with my friend Pete, because he's a musician, about how to arrange the soundproofing and everything.
Great.
So it worked out great. Now you can tell it's not really an echo in here anymore.
It's amazing.
No.
So let's start with this, which is, we gave you a bad rate your charge score because all of these are non-functional. They're not plugged in.
Only 2 out of 30 are working. So I can't argue that bad score.
So it's a bit of a graveyard. It's a bit of a showcase piece. It's something that can change as the channel evolves over the years. Can you tell us just, I guess, left to right, kind of what every unit is, very briefly?
Every unit?
Yeah, let's go through each one.
Original juice box.
Right
all
over
the way
here.
Up in the top corner.
Old school.
That is like one of the first smart chargers ever made.
Really?
It was made by eMotorworks.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the first smart chargers ever made, and also one of the first chargers that you could plug in. Before that, all the chargers were hardwired, and there was actually some discussion on whether code was going to allow electric vehicle charging equipment to be plugged in or not. So this is going back,
Well, back when
10
you had your
years.
Mini E, that was before J1772.
Oh, yeah.
And so it had its weird own connector.
An ODU connector. I have one in here in the garage, actually.
We should look at that somewhere. And that was hardwired only?
The charger was hardwired,
Interesting.
Yeah, there were no pluggable units available back in 2009, 2010.
Wow.
Everything was hardwired.
Interesting.
And
so this was one of the first with and why did they choose NEMA 1450 over 650? Do you remember?
So I believe the reason why NLX, or not NLX, it was eMotorworks chose the 1450 was because Tesla was going to be using it on their mobile equipment. And Val, who was the owner of eMotorworks, was like, well, if people are going to be installing Tesla outlets to charge their mobile chargers, then we want our equipment to be able to plug into the same outlet.
How about that?
Yeah,
so Tesla, in a sense, led the industry to NEMA 1450.
Because some of the earliest units, even when Juicebox came out, a couple other companies came out with chargers. Most of them had NEMA 650 plugs.
Oh, interesting.
But for some reason, that's the reason I think that Valve decided to go with the 1450 for the Juicebox.
Very cool.
Yeah. So then we have here, this is a Flow.
Thing's hardy.
Yeah, this is a really robust charger. It's made by Flow. They're up in Canada. It's really good for outdoor use.
I love the latch.
It's built so well. The only problem with it, it's super expensive.
Yeah.
And that's really one of the reasons
32
why.
amp.
Yeah, and it's only 32 amps. So,
Right.
which was great 9 years ago. But okay, move on. We need minimum 40 amps. Really should be 48 amp onboard
For
chargers on
hardwired,
all the cars.
yeah.
All the cars should be coming with 48 amp onboard chargers.
Right,
at
and the
this
Lucid's doing 80 right now, which is the maximum.
Which is the
standard
maximum.
allowed.
I don't think all vehicles are going to have 80 amp onboard chargers.
No.
But the ones that have 100 kilowatt hour plus batteries will.
Yeah.
But most of the other EVs, 48 amp is fine. So the charger should be able to minimum 40 amp, probably 48 amp.
And the Hummer EV only has a 48 amp onboard charger, which is crazy. I know it's being upgraded for this year.
Because it wasn't ready.
Right, I
They
know.
fully intended on having an 80 amp onboard charger,
sure
but it
they
just
did.
wasn't ready yet. Yeah. So which is ridiculous. You know how slow it charges.
I don't know what this is.
I think they're out of business.
Okay.
Chargify EV. They were based, I think, in Texas, and they
Okay.
did a review, and it wasn't a terrible unit. It was.
They got the Phoenix contact cable, which I like.
It wasn't a bad unit, but I don't believe they're in business anymore. Here's the Autel, and this is the Autel with remote connector holster. Autel makes chargers both ways, with an integrated connector holster and a remote connector holster. It's the only charger
so weird
that you could buy it either way.
Why can't you just just get the one with the built-in, which is right over here, right? And then just like add the remote thing, because this is just a waste of space.
I don't know. Autel's a Chinese company. They're based in China.
Right.
There might be reasons why they do that for Chinese market, and then
Yeah.
they just brought it here also the same way. I don't really know, but
Okay.
you can
And
get it
these
either
are the
way.
home non-commercial
Yeah,
ones.
non-commercial.
The commercial ones have a screen
This
here.
works. Yeah,
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
screen there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work on the home
Right,
unit,
the home-
which is
they're just
another thing
off.
that I was like, don't fake me out. Like, I could see people buying this and thinking it's going to be a screen.
Well, that
like
was
they
me.
look at the picture And then
Yeah.
they get it home and they'll call customer service and be like, "Oh, the screen doesn't work." Well, no, the screen.
That was us. They sent us one for review. I'm like, you got to send us another one. The screen
Just
isn't powering. They're like, oh, it's the home one. Like, I'm like, okay.
So Clipper Creek,
one of my favorites.
awesome company.
Yeah.
Again, they make such robust charging equipment. Clipper Creek is the OG of charging equipment.
You have an original Clipper
That's
Creek.
a real original one over there on top of that rack over there.
Yep.
That's a circa 2008 2009 Clipper Creek
An early
CS60.
J1772 on it?
No, I converted it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
I converted it.
So was that a Roadster charger?
That was either a Roadster charger or a Mini E charger.
Oh,
because that's what the Mini E chargers were.
But the
were that.
Active E didn't use Clipper Creek, did
No, BMW transitioned to AeroVironment.
That's right.
At that point,
Yep.
yeah. So Clipper Creek, awesome units.
I still think they're reasonably priced, built in America.
They've just been purchased by Enphase.
Oh, so does that mean it's kind of...
I don't know. Let's see. You know, I do notice that there was a price increase after they bought them. So they're very expensive units, and none of them are smart chargers. They're all dumb chargers, quote unquote, which is fine.
Yeah,
you don't really necessarily need a smart charger. They're built really well.
But when I roll up to a charger out in the middle of nowhere, like if we're in Alaska and then I'm like Clipper Creek, I'm like, we're getting a charge.
Yeah.
I just love it.
They just work.
Yeah.
They just work. Emporia is a new company. They just started selling chargers about a year ago.
Denver, Colorado.
And they rock.
Yes.
It's actually, I'm putting out a video this week where this is my best of 2023 charger. This gets #1 rating. Absolutely love it. And part of the reason why I love it is the price. $399.
Oh, really?
It's a 48 amp charger for $399.
Wow.
And you know, a lot of my reviews, I weigh pricing heavily.
Yes.
Because I think that's a really important factor. People shouldn't have to spend $900 or $800 for a charger. And you know, the comparable units say to this that if you want to put this head to head against a unit, you'd put it against the Juice Box, $689. The ChargePoint Home Flex, $749.
Wow.
The wall box, 48 amp, $699.
This is just going to wipe the floor.
$749 to $689.
Yeah,
$399.
Crazy.
So you know, and it's Wi-Fi. It comes with an app. It keeps all kind of good data. And Emporia also sells an ecosystem of home energy devices.
Yes.
Where you can use this if you buy their View 2 system.
Yes.
And you have solar. You can make the Emporia will only charge your car on excess solar generation.
Yes, this is
so
kind of
there's
what
other
we're thinking
chargers
about
that
doing
do
with
that
the hub.
too. But
yeah,
it's this charger rocks. It has a horrible connector holster.
Say this,
right?
yes.
A horrible connector holster.
You can't pull it out.
You can't remove it if you grab the handle.
Yeah.
It's like
you have to pull it from up here till the small cable comes out.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty ugly.
Yeah, it doesn't look great, but I'm okay with that.
Sure.
I'm function first.
And
you
it's
know
pretty
what I mean?
small compared to some other ones.
But
I mean,
they sell one in black now. It looks better.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so now
Great,
you can
great.
buy it in white or black. And actually, on my Twitter account @Tomalog, I'm giving away an Emporia 28 charger in April. So
of 2023.
Yeah.
The video will be up for a while.
Follow me on Twitter, and in April I'm going to announce where I'm giving away a 48 amp Emporia charger. If you just retweet the tweet and follow me on State of Charge.
So Emporia is one to really keep an eye on. We're thinking about going with their energy monitoring thing for the hub, tying it in with maybe solar if we end up putting on. But I have my eyes on these guys.
You should. They're cutting edge.
This is a company we know, the Grizzle E, by United Chargers, right?
Yep, United Chargers.
And these things, in my impression, have never been fancy, have just been pretty durable.
Yeah.
What's your impression?
So take a look at it and look at the original Juice Box.
Right. Well, I know this story, of course.
So but they didn't do anything nefarious.
Right.
They just basically used the same off-the-shelf metal box that eMotorworks used to use.
Right.
You know, so a lot of people think it's a clone. It's not. All the innards are completely different. When I did my review, I opened them both up to show people, look, like no copying here.
These guys must have been happy about that.
They just used the same really nice solid NEMA 4 rated case. This is a watertight case. You can actually, in my video, I dunk it in a bucket of water and I still charge the car with it. It's fine. So this is a really good, solid, good unit for outdoor. Very few of the chargers, as you notice, have metal enclosures.
Right. What's
this
up with
does
that?
The Flow
Cost,
does
do you
cost.
think? Yeah.
It's cost. The very few of the units do, so that's a plus for Grizzly. This is only a 40 amp unit. It's probably my top pick for 40 amp units.
Okay, so it can be NEMA 1450 or hardwired.
Or hardwired, yeah. And or you can order NEMA 650 if you want. They give you the option.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So you got an amazing E.
Yeah. So this
Clipper
is
Creek.
a Clipper Creek. It's a subdivision of Clipper Creek called Amazing E. This is a 32 amp portable charger. It's a good solid unit. It's pricey. That's the only problem, and it's not dual voltage. Some of these small portable units you can charge on 120 or 240. This is just a 240 volt unit. So I'm leaning towards steering people, if they want a small portable unit like this, to get a dual voltage unit.
Yeah.
But this had been a favorite of mine for a long time. But now that the dual voltage units are coming, it's hard for me not to recommend you getting, because you could always opportunity charge on a 120 volt outlet with a dual voltage unit.
You get 120, and it's only 32 amp max, which I'm not.
And you can't do it on that.
You can't do 40.
Yeah.
I'm actually a juice booster guy, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. This is old school and like commercial.
This is a commercial Blink charger. This one, you see the little RFID tag there. So this, it's on the, if I plug it in, it's on the Blink network. So I can, if
does
you
it actually show up on the user's map or no?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But if you swipe your Blink card and plug in, you'll start to be charged. Well, I have to pair it with my Wi-Fi, and then you'll start to be charged. So I actually have that's what I should have made you do here. You're making a lot of money without a spec.
I know.
I should have been charging you to charge here, especially if you give me a bad rating.
Right.
So
that's right.
Down here, Juice Box NLX. This is. The first charger we looked at was the Juice Box up in the corner, made by eMotorworks.
Yes.
eMotorworks sold to NLX. NLX is the largest public utility in Italy. They control like all of Italy's electric grid, and they have tons of public charging stations over in Italy.
Yeah.
So NLX bought the Juice Box, and they immediately redesigned it. They got rid of the old hard metal case. This is a plastic enclosure, but it's still NEMA 4 rated, so it's a top rated unit.
Yep.
And it has an integrated connector holster now.
Yep.
Love this unit. Really good smart charger. It's OCPP compliant. It can participate in utility demand response programs. So this is a favorite for utilities. Some utilities, if you're going to buy a charger, check with your local utility, because quite frequently you can get a rebate or even the charger for free if you allow the utility to dial into your house and monitor your charging, because they're trying to figure out people's charging patterns. And this is one of the favorites for utility use because it's OCPP compliant and it has smart charging features. Really good unit. Horrible cable if you live in cold weathers.
That's right.
If you live in cold weather, the cable freezes like a frozen rope. If you live in San Diego, it doesn't matter. But if you're in Minnesota and you're going to install your charger outside, this isn't the charger to get.
Right.
But for many other reasons, it's a great charger. Alpha, made by United Chargers. This is not available. I was a beta tester for it. It was a unit that was going to come to market, never did.
Huh. So it's got a screen was the idea.
Yeah, touch screen, and it was super interactive. This was a 40 amp unit. It basically has the innards of the Grizzly.
Oh, okay.
But then a whole bunch of other smart charging features.
Because the Grizzly has a smart function now, the newer ones?
There's a Grizzly Smart, which is here.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, that's not really for public. I've never seen this.
This is a company called Turn On Green. I believe it's a 32 amp unit. It might be 40, but I think it's a 32 amp unit. Yeah, this is kind of made for public use, like apartment complexes.
Yes.
It's got a lot of the ability to monitor and set up separate billing accounts.
Oh,
and
great.
it even has, look on the side here, Kyle, the automatic reset button that you always see on public chargers.
Yeah, of course.
So,
like an e-stop.
Yeah, it's really meant, this is, I mean, they do sell it for home use, but I think it's best when it's used in like apartment complexes, because you can set up different billing accounts and you can have
it
all kind of user controls. Yeah.
Sorry, this is a 30.
That's a NEMA 650.
Oh, a 650. Okay, interesting.
So I always request the units to come with plugs, because for my reviews, it would be a bear for me to keep hardwiring and ripping them out and everything.
Sure.
So that's that. This is the other version of the Autel, the one with the integrated connector holster. A couple of things about this. Kyle talked about being disappointed that the screen doesn't work, which I was also disappointed. In the pictures, I thought this was green LED lights.
Oh, that would have been
I thought it
cool.
would look cool because, you know, I talk a lot about usability on these chargers. Some people are in garages that aren't lit, and it benefits them if the connector holster has a light around it. The charge point does, which we're going to talk
neat.
about next. It's backlit with an LED. So, and here's another really cool feature. If you notice, look, the connector swivels down, but now you pull it out, and it's out. So now you're going to holster it at, you know, perpendicular to the ground. So it's a very easy holster.
That's nice.
And
That's nice.
the ChargePoint Home Flex is another one of my top rated units. This is a fantastic charger. It has the best cold weather cable of any charger we've ever tested. I have this at negative 15 degrees for 24 hours, and when I pull it out of the freezer, it still is nice and bendable. So super good unit,
And
one
a
of my
good
top
app.
rated units.
Bakes
Great
right
app.
into ChargePoint.
Exactly. It has a great connector. I'm also a connector geek.
Do you think
I love this.
ChargePoint
It's
makes
nice.
that connector?
I don't know if they specifically, I don't know if they make anything, but
Okay.
I would imagine they designed it in-house, spec'd it and gave it to a company and said, this is what I want you to make.
The only negative I've heard about these are this thing, and you told me about this.
Yeah. So, well, it really happens with all of the chargers. If you drop the connector in the wrong way, you can break this lock here. Which, and let's talk about this lock for a second.
Yeah, this little connection pin.
So the U.S. we have this on J1772. This is a J1772 connector. We also have it on our DC Fast Charge CCS 1. We're the only country, or it's the only one that has it. In Europe, their Menix 2 and the CCS 2 doesn't need this.
Right.
The car has a pin that goes in and
It's
locks
on the
it,
car side.
like the Tesla connector.
Right. So much smarter.
So we are built into having problems with these public charging, or even at home. You know, if it breaks, it renders the connector pretty much useless.
Or sometimes you'll get it to charge, right? If for whatever reason it misses this step, or you can get it just right, and then you can just pull it out while it's juicing. And it might be faster than it can actually shut off the power.
Unfortunately, here in North America, we have the worst designed AC and DC charging connectors. Even if they wanted to have CCS, the CCS2 is a better solution.
This
you don't
is why
have
I
this
wish
stupid rocker pin.
And actually, I was just doing the Tesla Magic Dock video that went up yesterday on this channel, and it's metal.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. So the Tesla gets it.
They get it,
Yeah. So, all right, what else we got?
Evo Charge. This is a new unit. I just got it. It's a 40 amp. Pretty sure it's 40 amp.
Nice and compact.
Yeah, it's nice and compact, which I really liked about it. I got a pretty good score.
Okay,
it's another new company with good, as far as I'm concerned. For a first offering, they did a pretty good job, and look for future iterations to be even better. It does have a display screen here that shows you the energy that's being dispensed. So
I used one in Michigan on a road trip, which will go up on Out of Spec Motoring soon. I was bringing the Twizy back and pulled in a major blizzard, plugged this thing in, and it couldn't work. It had an RFID on it. So I just tapped my hotel room key. And it worked. They just it didn't, it was the way they set it up, just needed something. And I'm like, well, that's dumb, just like charge. But yes, I really loved the unit. It worked great, no issues.
Poor cable, crappy connector. This connector looks like it's going to break the second. Look at it.
It looks like a prototype connector. And look at this little thing.
Yeah, and I never really like when I see the exterior screws that hold it together, and it's not just a molded plastic. So
maybe for repairability, but then maybe it'll break easier.
Yeah, this is just a poor connector. That's something that they should improve. We already did Emporia. It's the same thing as Emporia.
This is kind of neat. Explain what's going on with this split volt thing.
So this is a smart circuit splitter. This is for people that either don't want to add a dedicated circuit for their EV charging or can't. A lot of times, your service panel is maxed out. You can't add another 40 or 50 amp circuit for EV charging. But these people have a clothes dryer near the garage. So what you do is you plug this into your clothes dryer outlet. And then you plug your dryer into this side here. It says dryer. And then you plug your electric vehicle charging equipment here. And what it does is it will split the power. Well, it doesn't necessarily split the power. Only one uses at a time. But if your car is charging and then you go and turn on your dryer, the dryer gets the precedent. So the dryer will turn on, dry your clothes. As soon as your clothes drying is done, the car starts starts charging again.
And does it just cut the power completely to that circuit? Is that how that works?
Yes.
It just shuts it off.
Yeah, it doesn't give you partial power.
Right. Now, there's certain cars, and I want to say maybe the i3 is one of them. I think my electric smart car is one, that once it goes to sleep, let's say your dryer runs for 2 hours, and it kicks back on, the car won't start charging because it needs a door cycle.
Yeah, the newer, I haven't seen that with the newer cars.
Yeah, this might be just an old smart car thing, but my electric smart is that way. So I have never seen this, and it looks broken already.
Yeah, so this is the Pear Gear.
Are you sure you say that right?
Yeah, I don't even know. Pear Gear, Gear, what do you say? You say it.
Oh, I'm bad at pronouncing everything.
Well, you know I'm bad at pronouncing stuff.
This is not good.
The Marquez Brown.
Right, that was not good either. But he was cool about it. Everyone was cool
really
about
cool
it.
about it, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a portable level 1, level 2 charger that I just tested. And as you can see, it's all grayed out the screen here because this is IP67 rated, which IP67 is waterproof, not water resistant. It's actually like one of the highest ratings you can get for electric vehicle charging equipment. So when I do my tests, what I did was I put it in a bucket of water. And like 10 seconds later, it just went poof.
So it was intended to be waterproof.
Yeah. So
what did they say about that, by the way? Did they ever email you back?
No, and they were emailing me every day up until the point where I reviewed it.
Yeah.
And if you could see this side, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's already maybe peeling. You could zoom in on the cable. See the cable strain?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not. That I don't know how this could get an IP67 rating. There's no, like the cable, if you just bend it, it pops out of the unit and it lets water into the unit. So this is a perfect example of what we're seeing now. We're seeing all these new startup companies trying to get a piece of the charging pie. So they're putting out these units that aren't safety certified, that aren't made well, and people are going to Amazon, and it's a race to the bottom. They're buying the cheapest equipment that's out there, and then and then it breaks. And the funny thing is, I have arguments all the time with people on. I tell them, don't buy that; it's a junk unit, and they say, "Oh, I've been using it for 8 months. It's great. You don't know what you're talking about."
Right.
And then like 6 months later, I get an email, "Dude, you're right, man. The thing melted my outlet or something."
Sure.
Yeah, it works.
Very common.
It works great.
Yeah.
Until it doesn't.
Right.
And then you're lucky if it just breaks.
Right. It doesn't burn, create a fire.
Buy good, safety certified charging equipment. Don't buy the cheapest one. You just spent $40,000, $50,000 on a beautiful electric car. Spend an extra $200 and buy a good charger, please.
And if you notice things getting really hot, have an electrician come, get a different unit. Because I have a friend right now who I'm actually sending a charger to, a mobile one, a NEMA 1450, and they're like, I can barely touch my hand to the outlet. I'm like, dude, put a new outlet on and like...
100%. Yeah, no, not good. So Open EVSC. This company
here... This is for the nerds.
Yeah. This company here lets you make your own charger.
It's so cool. And they've been around for a long time.
They've been around a long time. And they'll also sell you one fully made.
Sure.
It's actually a pretty good unit here. It's nice and compact. This is a 48 amp unit.
Oh, really?
Now you need to hardwire it for it to get 48 amps.
Okay.
Although the crazy thing is drop test. Yeah. The crazy thing is you don't really have to. So Open EVSC, what they do is they take a NEMA 1450 and then they remove this prong because now it'll plug into a 60 amp outlet. They make NEMA 1460s.
Okay, I did not know that.
And so you can actually use this to charge as a plug-in unit at 48 amps. Now, it's against code, but you can do this with this. I don't recommend it, and I probably shouldn't even have told people that you could do this.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, but you can do it. And
so it's really like a nerd charger.
Yeah,
if the nerds do it, they'll understand the risks.
Really nerd charger. So this is the Grizzly Smart. Grizzly comes in black and white cases. The white, they just call it the Avalanche edition.
I like it.
It means nothing, Avalanche.
But I like it.
This is the smart version of the Grizzly. It's the same thing, but it has smart charging features.
Right.
This is the Grizzly Duo. Look how fat this bad boy is.
Damn.
2 connectors.
Oh, yeah, so, check that out.
So if you have 2 EVs, you can hardwire this or plug it in.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's a 40 amp unit, so you're only splitting
20 amps each.
Yeah, you're only splitting 40 amps.
That really should have been an 80 amp unit split down to 40 each.
And the way it works, it steps down the power. So, for instance, and I'm going to probably explain this wrong because it's been a while since I reviewed it. If your EV is only pulling 6 amps because it's almost charged, you're not going to get 36 amps on the other side. I think you get 20. Like
it steps, so it's just like once it's done charging, then boom,
it reserves more than what it needs for each side.
Interesting,
So,
interesting. Now, this is a company I've heard a lot about, this wall box. They are really small. They had a Super Bowl ad, which was crazy that an electric vehicle company had a Super Bowl ad. What is your opinion of this?
It's a very good unit. Now, this is called the Pulsar Plus. This has been available in Europe for quite some time.
Yes.
But they just brought it to the U.S. last year, and now they just built a giant manufacturing facility in Texas. I did a whole video on that. I went and checked out the video. I checked out the factory. So this is their Pulsar Plus. It comes in a 40 amp or 48 amp unit. This is the 40 amp unit because it has the plug.
Right.
The 48 amp unit I actually installed up in Vermont at my in-laws' house, and I use it to charge my EVs when I go up to Vermont. Super unit, tons of smart charging features, OCPP compliant, split power splitting. This can split power amongst multiple wall boxes. So if you're in an apartment complex and you've got 20 different spots, you can line up a line of these and not have to completely upgrade your power. They'll load share. Yeah,
and actually, I think Anna, you and I were in Las Vegas recently, and we saw 6 of them, I think. Yeah. And they were all load sharing.
They were load sharing, exactly.
Okay. I didn't know what was going on. We were getting different power.
Really good units, well made, really great construction. These things are.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
good,
super great construction. And this thing you can dunk it in a bucket of water. You can shoot it with water.
Really?
Yeah, I did all the tests. Super, really good unit. Really like these units. $700. It's expensive, and that's why I look at $700. I look at the Emporia. $400.
Yeah, but if you're going for ultimate looks and maybe some app functionality, to me this is a very attractive unit to have on your wall. It's small. Yeah. I like things small. That's a pretty cool looking unit.
You're focusing on looks a lot more than I do here.
I know, but hey, I'm bringing the design. I'm bringing the design aspect in because we all know I'm a design guy.
and to me, I'm so oblivious to design.
But that's how I am with cars.
I want it to work. Okay.
Right? Yeah. Yes.
But I do like that it's small. I talk about that a lot. I like small units. I don't like when they take up a ton of real estate in your wall.
This is another amazing
E. This is a small one. Yeah, only 16 amps. This is the original one that came out. So this is the 16 amp amazing.
I loved your review of this.
The Top Done review?
Yeah.
I even forgot. I do so many reviews. What did I do?
You made a lot of fun of it.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
Well, as you mentioned, I do these comprehensive reviews, and I'm genuinely surprised as I'm doing the review when things fail or when things work well. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of why people like my reviews. You could tell I'm very enthusiastic about it, and I'm also like, oh wow, this didn't work.
This stinks. And you get you're like it breaks. You're like, oh my god, it's great.
Yeah, so that was cool. Bosch PowerMax 2. This is an old Bosch is one of the original EV charging companies.
Are they out now?
I think they're still making chargers, but they really don't try to sell them.
That's great.
And on the end here is your favorite.
Yeah.
They used to call it the Juice Booster, but now it's the J Plus Booster.
Yeah.
And they call it the Juice Booster in Europe.
Right.
But do you know why they don't call it the Juice Booster in the U.S. or North America?
Because it's a trademark situation.
With
NLX.
Juice Box.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I actually have 2 of the engineering. I actually did some work with these guys years before I remember when I was just starting YouTube.
At the track.
Yep, yeah. Exactly. And I have 2 of their engineering juice boosters that are mobile. So you can change the J1772 out for the Chinese connector or for Type 2. Yeah. And you can change all the ends out. I really love it. We've put them through hell, and they've just held up.
You think I put it through hell?
Yeah. What the heck did you do to this thing?
I ran over it with the Lightning and the Rivian in my review because they said it can withstand 7,000 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And both of those trucks are like 7,000 pounds. I'm like, okay, let's see if they're telling the truth.
Review.
Over both of them.
And it looks fine. I mean, structurally.
It worked just fine. It just chewed the heck out of the rubber ends, but these are just protectors. These have nothing to do with the unit.
Right.
So yeah, worked really great. And then we have another circuit splitter here on the end. It's called NeoCharge. This is just like that split volt where you plug the back into a dryer outlet, and then you've got your outlet for your dryer and your outlet for your EV charger, and it will intelligently split the power depending if you're using your dryer or you're not. So that way you don't have to buy, you don't have to run a new dedicated circuit to your garage.
Or unplug and replug every time, which can really wear out the connector of the NEMA 1450.
Yeah, you really shouldn't be, if you have a NEMA 1450 out, which I recommend hardwiring all your electric vehicle equipment. I have a video here called How to Safely Charge Your EV on State of Charge if you're interested in that. Kyle's talked about it also. I really recommend hardwiring, but if you are going to use an outlet, you really shouldn't be plugging in and out all the time. It's just not, it's going to wear the outlet out. It's going to fail eventually.
And if you do, replace the outlet every year. Yeah. Outlets are cheap.
Yeah.
We have 2 more things here. This is my favorite. By the way, the price on this is pretty good.
It's outstanding. This actually, as I mentioned, I'm going to be publishing my best of 2023 chargers. This was the #1 charger for Tesla vehicles, and the Emporio was my #1 pick for non-Tesla vehicles, basically.
Right.
So,
well, that makes sense because there's a Tesla charger.
Yeah, and you know, but even though, I mean, that didn't guarantee it was going to win. If Tesla didn't make a good charger, I wouldn't say it's the charger.
Right.
I'd recommend buy one of these and use the
adapter.
adapter. But the fact of the matter is, it's a great unit. And Tesla makes fantastic charging equipment. Both this and their mobile connector are outstanding, besides their superchargers.
Right.
You know, are outstanding units. Has an integrated connector where you press the button and the charge port flap opens up. You know, none of the other cars do that. It's a sleek. It power shares.
Yep.
It can accept over-the-air updates and diagnostics.
And now you can accept payment from it.
Yes, exactly. So
and
you can limit
charge,
who's going to use it. So fantastic unit for $425.
It's insane.
How do you beat that?
Yeah, it's insane.
You know?
And then this is the one I've actually been most excited because as far as I understand it, it's the only home AC charger that uses a CCS connector.
Yes, it is.
And let me just show you guys what I'm talking about. I'll unplug the Lucid here, which by the way, we got here at single-digit % state of charge, right, Tom?
Yep.
If the Lucid would unlock, there we go. I can.
What are you up to now? You got to be close to 30%.
34.
34%.
We've added 123 miles of rated range with the 21-inch wheels in like an hour and a half.
Yeah. This is you know, for home charging, it doesn't get any better than that, Kyle,
This thing
honestly.
rips.
Yeah.
And the thing is, J1772 is limited to 80 amps as per the code. But you can see here, we're using a home charger and it's a CCS connector. So I know you have some opinions about this and the charger. Here you go. Tell us what you think. I know you said you liked this connector.
So first of all, I really like the connector. If those of you who have CCS enabled electric vehicles and charge at, say, Electrify America or any public charger, you know the connectors are clunky, right?
Yes.
And they're heavy and they're difficult to use. So, you know, for a CCS connector, this is a nice solution. I like it.
I wish it was out in the field.
100%. It's got a really good grip. It's small. You know, it doesn't have this giant, even though the end has to be the same size,
right?
It's much more elegant. Now, maybe this wouldn't hold up to commercial use.
Maybe
I don't
for
know.
like a 40 or 50 kilowatt charger with no liquid cooling, it should do that.
It's a really good, it's made by Phoenix Contact. It's a really good unit here. I love how it feels in my hand. Like I said, connector snob, and they did a really good job with this.
Phoenix Contact, even with their high power HPC, have the handles on them. They know what's up.
They know what's up. You know, the ergonomics is really important. It seems like too often the companies don't factor in ergonomics at all.
Right.
And
I'm looking at you, Amphenol, by the way.
So that, you know, cable, it's got actually surprisingly thin cable, considering that this is an 80 amp unit.
Right.
It's thinner than many of the 40 amp.
What's up with that? Why do you think?
It's been an enigma.
Yeah.
You know, when I do my cold weather testing and I freeze the units, you know, I measure them all.
Did this fit in your freezer?
No, I actually I did the cold weather test with it. Oh yeah, I did put it in the freezer.
Oh,
I
nice.
haven't done a full review on it yet though. I just have that video clips. But I think it was 19 millimeters, the thickness on this cable. There's 40 amp charges I have here where I measured at 23 millimeters for the cable.
Wow.
And that's a big difference, and it just makes the everyday usability. You've got to drag a heavy cable to your car, and if it's outside or whatever, it's just like, look at Tesla has one of the thinnest cables.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that's a 48 amp unit.
Right.
So those ergonomics is really important. But I love what Ford did here with this. It's a good cable. It's a really nice connector, and you know, as Kyle mentioned, the J1772 part of it, the top half is what charges the car. We only use the 2 DC pins when my Lightning is powering the house, because it has what Ford calls the home and intelligent backup power system, where you can actually use the vehicle to power your house. This can do this all.
But will it work with this charger?
I don't believe it would. No.
So that's the weird thing we're at right now. There's no like set standard for vehicle to load or grid. So you have to buy like the Lucid charger, which can you even buy yet?
They said they're going to send me one like last week.
Okay, great. So maybe just coming out now.
Yeah.
So you have to get the Lucid thing with the Lucid system, and then you sell your car and you buy a Lightning, and you're like,
and it doesn't work, and you got to switch everything out.
Spend 15 grand to rewire your house. This doesn't make sense from a backup situation for most people. It's a really cool system. It's amazing that Ford went out of their way to design, and we'll link that video because that was, I think, the best video on YouTube. I told you that I had watched in a long time.
I put a lot of work into that video.
It was incredible, truly the best. If you have time, but you do because you're watching this, watch that video.
We just spent an hour going over every charger made in the
last they have time.
2 years. If you're still with us, then man, you're a trooper. Thanks.
Right. Yes, but this is the out of spec core audience. And I was blown away, but holy smokes, how much did it cost you to wire up this is why we're here. We want to see this whole system.
Yeah, so we're going to go check that out next. Yeah. You know, the hardware for me, which was my service upgrade, I had to put in a new meter pan. I mean, but the hardware was over $8,000.
Yeah, crazy.
That's without labor. Now the labor, you know, full disclosure, my channel partner, Q Merit, picked up the labor end of it.
Sure.
And I had to pay for the all the hardware and the parts and everything. And the home integration kit alone from Ford, well, actually you buy it through Sunrun, Ford's partner is $4,000. Right. And then, you know, I had to buy new meter pans and new 200 amp panels and, you know, hundreds of feet of wire and everything.
I mean, that's what we're getting into now. So I'm going to manually open the charge port on this. I'm stealing more electricity. Because we use
I should have plugged in the Blink and charged it. Do you even have a Blink card?
No, who does? No one uses Blink anymore. They are honestly the worst charging provider.
They just got a huge contract with USPS.
Hey, they just tried to sponsor us, and we're like, sorry, your stuff doesn't work. What other cool, I mean, just can we take a breeze over here just very quickly?
This is like my adapter rack.
Yeah, I love adapters.
Well, this is the old school Clipper Creek we talked about
these
before.
Things, I just saw one at Motor World in Stuttgart for our German viewers. Go by there on the backside.
I have like 4 of these. You want one?
Yes, I want to put one on the wall.
I'll give you one.
I just saw a Roadster charger, one of these. It was so cool.
I've got a whole bunch of portable chargers down here, all level 1 chargers.
Amazing.
These are adapters. We have our Tesla CCS adapter.
Is this the official one?
I don't know if that's the official one.
It doesn't feel like it.
That might be the Electron. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, Electron.
That's the Electron
It's a different material than the Tesla one.
So, but it works just as fine, and it has the safety lock, which is important for that. This is the CCS. This is a Tesla to CCS.
It's a J1772.
Tesla to J1772, from 40 amp unit.
Right.
I've got...
here's actually a cautionary tale for some of our viewers with these. Should we mention this?
About 40 and 40 amps?
Yeah, and even 80 amp versions, because like, here's the thing, you could plug this into... my house, I have the older Tesla wall connectors that'll do 80 amps. You could plug that into this and then plug this into a Lightning, and this will just glow bright red.
Yeah.
And
at best, it'll just melt and stop. But you could really screw up your car badly.
Yeah.
So you know you have to make sure that whatever is in the middle of your charger and your vehicle, it can deliver the full amount of power.
When I use this, I try and set the vehicles down to 40 amps or below, especially if it'll charge overnight.
Not all electric vehicles allow you to lower.
Our e-tron will pull 48 amps, and I'm like, good luck.
That's why you get one of these.
Well, I have one of those.
This is the 48 amp.
But I have the 40 amp one of those.
This is the 48 amp one.
Right.
You want
to get that.
Really, I recommend if you're going to buy one of these Tesla to J1772 adapters, get a 48 amp adapter.
Totally.
You know, even if your car doesn't pull 48 amps, your next car may.
Yeah, so just keep it safe.
Buy this thing, put it in your trunk or your frunk, so you always have it in case you're out on the road and there's a Tesla destination charger.
Everyone should just carry that in their car. If you see someone stranded,
it's a good idea. And then of course I have the Tesla adapters that come with the vehicle.
Right.
And then I have, this was an early,
you remember
this
was the Ukraine one.
This was the Ukraine
Yeah, I've
one,
never seen one before.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
He also has the reverse of it.
Yeah.
And he has a whole bunch of weird adapters so you can drive American cars in Europe because they get imported crashed ones.
Yeah, I bought this and it didn't work. And
Bummer.
we were trying to figure out, and the best we could come up with was, he thinks that this tab was drilled slightly too far forward, so the Tesla pin wouldn't lock in. So without that lock, it wouldn't allow me to charge. No, it's hard to see it when it's in, first of all, because this blocks it. You got the big CCS connector here, and I was going to put chalk on it and see if but then
then Tesla came
then
out
Tesla
with theirs.
came, so I was like, okay,
Yeah.
$500 just got
Yeah,
wasted.
right.
It's a good paperweight.
Exactly. I mean, it's a cool relic. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of being on the bleeding
Yeah.
edge. You get screwed.
Yeah.
And now the Tesla CCS adapter's what, $200, something like that?
I can't believe how
it's
cheap they made it. And now
unbelievable.
Electron lowered their price.
Oh, okay.
They're,
So
they're doing
but
a
I would
price
just buy
war.
the Tesla one.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
That's what I
yeah.
would do at least. Yeah.
Although, like I said, I've been using the Electron one. It seems fine. I almost think like they have them. The plastic might be a little different, but they have them
the
made
same
by the
thing.
same
Yeah.
factory in
It's
China
possible.
or whatever, you know.
But like at that point, just get the Tesla.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, but you know, Tesla one's out of stock a lot.
Oh, it could be. So it's a good backup.
A lot of times
backup.
it's out of stock. Yeah.
So thanks for taking us on the tour. These are the chargers to come, by
Those
the
are
way.
the next reviews that are coming.
Just a little sneak peek.
Yep.
So what? Let's talk about your house, your wiring, the
Okay.
real, nerd stuff
Yeah.
for what you have specifically going on here. And mostly, you rewired everything when you got this Ford Charge Station Pro.
Yeah.
It happened around the same time that you had your garage redone. You like went all out.
Yeah.
So what's up?
So when I bought the Lightning and I wanted to charge it as fast as possible that I could, and plus I wanted to get the Charge Station Pro so I could do the home
Was that
energy.
free with your truck?
So it comes standard with the extended range battery Lightning.
Of any trim?
Which I had. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Extended range comes with the Ford Charge Station Pro. If you get the standard range Lightning and you want it, you have to buy it. It's $1,310.
Go on eBay, 'cause every extended range
the
owner
people
is
that
just gonna-
didn't install them, you can get them for great deals
Yes,
right now.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and so that I was already pushing the limits of. I was probably over my
Allegedly
load
pushing
calculations.
the limit.
Yeah, I was pushing it before, and so I knew if I was going to add any more amps, or I had to upgrade the house, and so adding a 100 amp circuit. Your chances are, I mean, most people can, not most people, but a lot of people can install a 40 amp or 60 amp circuit without having a service upgrade. Many people can. But if you want to add a 100 amp circuit, which is what you need for an 80 amp unit, most people are going to need a service upgrade.
Yeah, and it's important to mention this because I think Ford originally stated like you have to have a crazy panel for this, but can't you dial it down?
Yeah, so, and there's an interesting story about that. So Ford posted on their website that in order to get the home integration kit and the Charge Station Pro, you need to have, they picked some weird number. It was like
320 amps or something like that?
360 amp
Okay,
service.
yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't exist,
Yeah,
first of
no
all.
one has
And
that.
so I reached out to Ford because a lot of my followers knew that I was getting a Lightning. Were like, Tom, what's up with this? Like 360 amps, that's a crazy amount of power. So I contacted Ford. I just spoke to Darren about it.
Yep.
And then I talked to Ryan O'Gorman,
Yep.
who's like their charging
Yep.
guru for the home energy systems. And he said, look, he goes, an engineer did a calculation and figured like the average home should have that much power, but it's actually wrong. It's incorrect. So I was like, well, why is it still on your website? And he's like, that's a good question. The next day it was removed.
Oh, great.
So I got that removed from the Ford website.
Okay,
and,
sweet.
and then they kind of were gray with it, saying, you may have to have a service upgrade. They didn't put a set figure on it because
Right.
the fact of the matter is there is no set figure on what you need.
Right.
It depends on what else you have in your house. If you're running your whole house on electricity, if you have an electric range, an electric clothes dryer, electric heat, then you want to add a big circuit, you're probably going to need a service upgrade. But many homes have spare capacity. And this Charge Station Pro, you can derate it. You don't have to have it delivering the 80 amps we're delivering now.
What's the lowest you can go with this?
I think 12 or 16 amps. Yeah,
At
it's
240 volts, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really way down. You can dial. There's a dip switch inside.
So
that you
similar
switch.
to the old versions of
Yeah,
this.
exactly. Yeah, the new version of this, I think it's just in
It's
the
an app,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the inside you can dial it way down. Maybe it's 20 amps.
Okay, but pretty
you
low
can-
enough.
Yeah, you can dial it way down, and the fact of the matter, the thing about that is, if you dial it way down, you can still deliver 40 amps to the house, even though you're setting your thing to deliver 20 amp to the car.
Assuming
because
it's wired
It's
to
no,
handle
it's
it.
separate wiring.
Really?
There's two completely different runs. One powers the vehicle, and one sends power
So
back to the
can you
house.
hook this up without any return wiring then?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Of
so that's
course.
what most Lightning owners will probably do.
Exactly. But that's if you don't have home integration.
The home
kit.
integration
Then
thing, which you do.
Integration
so
kit needs
just
a
the
separate
unit
one.
itself. So let's say it's just Joe Schmo bought a
Yeah.
Lightning, he just wants to charge it, doesn't care about the rest.
Yeah.
He can put this unit in because it's free
100%.
and just wire it up to the maximum his panel will allow.
Let's say he can only do a 60 amp circuit and he's going
Right.
to charge at 48 amps. He'd run number 6 wire and set it to 48 amps.
Yep.
Good to go.
Done. And the only problem with that really is just the limitation of the CCS connector. Because actually what happens if you plug this in to a non-Lightning? Does it still charge? Like a Rivian that's not like looking for CCS?
It's charging now.
Oh, duh. Gosh, why am I such an idiot?
I thought
That's
it was
the
a
point.
trick question.
No, I was
because
thinking
he's so I'm thinking Kyle's thinking next level. I'm missing what he's trying to say, and I look stupid. But I'm glad that wasn't the case.
Right, I answered my own question here. So basically, the car probably doesn't even know it has CCS connected right now.
Doesn't know at all.
But the downside is if you have a smart car like I do, you actually can't charge with this.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
If you don't have CCS, if you just have J1772, if you have a Nissan Leaf.
Right, sure. Can you just saw off the CCS connection and plug it in?
I don't know, because I would imagine somebody who's really technically advanced could, and then cut the wiring and everything.
Yeah.
But why the hell would you do that?
Right,
I mean,
right.
If
So
it's
if you
at that
have a-
point, remove the cable and just put a cable with a J1772 on it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So the unit's pretty good, comes free. You had to have it wired up to both 80 amp output, which is a 100 amp circuit,
And 40 amp return.
and 40 amp return. Yeah. Do you want to show us how that all looks downstairs?
Let's go check it out. I got the whole setup in my basement.
Because this is the crazy expensive part that you went through.
Yeah.
And I think just before we do this, it's like no one's going to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish they would.
Yeah.
And Ford really is a pioneer with allowing this.
That's the thing.
Two-way
It's the first
thing.
of its kind. So, you have to expect it to be expensive and maybe not be as good as what a lot of people hope it would be, because the first of anything, that's what you get. But they have customers buying these. They especially,
I saw some people on the forums that have it.
Especially, a lot of people that want the latest, greatest toy.
Yeah.
That way maybe money isn't an object because it's very expensive.
Sure.
And there's less expensive alternatives if you really need to power your house.
And the truck can kind of power your house anyway.
You could run a whole bunch of extension cords and do a lot of stuff. It's not as elegant as having the house wired, but I think there's a good amount of people that got enough extra cash that wants the latest, greatest toy. That's going to keep Ford busy selling these.
Well, honestly, I am actually interested in it for our hub.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go see it. Well, now you join me in Tom's basement. We may not make it out of here. By the way, everyone only just sees this bit. This is like a really nice finished basement. He's got like a freaking huge TV over here with Super Bowl parties and stuff. So, everyone, I just pictured you had like the worst basement on the planet.
When you walked down here, you were like, I was expecting to be like a crawl space or something. I don't do crawl spaces.
No, I know. And you got an awesome pool back here and like a beautiful spot. So, you'll have a full deep dive on everything, but can you walk our viewers briefly through how you have everything loaded up? You're fine. You're good. The audio's good. Pete's over here coming to say hi, crashing videos. He has a Blink card. This is Blink card owner things right here. So you'll see Pete on Tom's channel when you did the GM
EAV live video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So walk us through left to however you do it.
I'll start over here because I'm over here. Okay, I have a 400 amp service I told you I upgraded to. These are the two 200 amp panels. This is my natural gas generator. So I have pretty much a whole home natural gas generator.
Which is just over
right
here.
outside the window. We get a lot of power outages here. I live in kind of a rural part of New Jersey, and there's a lot of power outage, sometimes for a week or two at a time.
Oh, wow.
So I installed this maybe 15 years ago. Luckily, right before Hurricane Sandy, I installed this.
Wow.
So I was like one of the only houses around here that had power through Sandy.
Nice.
But so the fact of the matter is, being that I have this, I really didn't need to get the Ford's Intelligent Backup Power where the truck can power your house. I just wanted to get it.
It was a cool thing, and for the audience.
I could use it for audience and everything. So I'll explain how it works. So the way it works now, this really powers all my critical loads when we have a power outage. You would have your critical loads powered by the truck if you didn't have a backup generator.
So this is still cool. Like in your case, you can still take the truck out.
Exactly, and all the critical loads in the house still run.
Yeah.
So, but I have about 40 amps worth of circuits on the truck panel,
which
that
is
aren't
kind of
really,
maxing it out, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not things that I really need. Like it's the dishwasher down here in the basement.
Sure.
Actually, the refrigerator in the basement is on it. I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
That's,
So yeah. I made a mistake there. But okay. Anyway, we'll see.
Things we've learned.
See.
Time to rip it all out.
Don't. That's coming. I already have next phase 2 planned.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
So yeah. So now this is the house.
So what question though? How hard was it to get 400 amps hooked up? I know you said you had to get a transformer upgrade.
Yeah.
Do most Lightning owners have to do that if they want to put the system in? What's your impression?
So probably not. Remember, you're just out in the garage, and I have just going to my garage. 100 amp circuit for the Ford Charge Station Pro, a 60 amp circuit going to my Tesla wall connector, and 2 50 amp circuits going to the NEMA 1450s.
That's more than a typical house's power load.
Yeah, exactly. So in my garage alone, I've got over 200, well over 200 amps of power.
Right.
So so for me, it's unique because it's what I do. But most people will probably have to get some sort of a service upgrade if they wanted to do the 100 amp charger and Ford Intelligent Backup Power, but not to a 400 amp service, probably to something, the next step up. There's a lot of houses with 100 amp mains.
Right, so they go up to 200
amp, and then there's load management devices you can get where you can maximize the amount of power you have.
I'm really thinking about getting into that topic, and I hope you cover it too.
Oh, definitely.
Because load management is the next thing. Yeah.
Especially for big apartment buildings and so forth. But we can really go
we
can go down a rabbit hole with that.
Yeah.
So this is the house. Now we'll jump into the Ford Intelligent Backup Power System. It's these 3 units here.
Okay.
This is the inverter. This is called the Dark Start battery. This powers the system. As soon as you get a power outage, it needs power to function. So this is a battery that allows the system to operate so it can communicate with the truck and then turn on and power the house.
So will the Ford Charge Station Pro, it'll just be functional, right? When you plug it, you wouldn't, it does have a light on it or anything?
So yeah, there is from this system.
Yeah.
There's a wire that goes to it. It's not like the main.
No, it's like a communication,
it's a
low voltage wire.
Exactly, exactly. You'll see there's a bunch of them going up. They're running.
There's
out
a lot of wires going everywhere.
There's a lot of wires going everywhere. So that's what happens. And this is the transfer switch. This islands my house or this system when there's a power outage. If the system's going to be generating power, you have to make sure you're cut off from the grid. Otherwise, you'll be sending electricity back to the grid, and it's danger.
And it's illegal.
Right? Yeah, it's a danger to the line worker. So this is responsible. Power outage happens. This boom shuts yourself off, and this turns on, gives this power. It shuts itself off from the grid, and then it waits for power from the
truck.
For the truck.
Let's say your truck's plugged in and charging. Let's say you know a storm's coming. I'm going to charge my truck up to 100. Let's rip. Get as much energy in there as possible. As soon as you lose power, how long does it take for it to start powering your house?
And that's a good question. The generator takes about 8 seconds.
Right.
This system, I've noticed, varies from 1 minute to as much as 3 minutes.
Really?
Very long. And I don't know why it takes different lengths of time, and Ford hasn't been able to give me an answer on that yet.
Okay.
But it does always work. But
right.
like the one time I was actually doing a demonstration for somebody, and I'm like, it does work, like the red lights blinking on here and everything. I'm like, okay, I promise you it does work. But then all of a sudden it just kicked on. I don't understand why it does that. It's hard to get answers from Sunrun and Ford. It's a brand new system. It's the first of its kind. We talked about this. I think it still has some.
And everyone in their units needs to get trained up on it because Ford recommends Sunrun install
this. That's their preferred installer.
They don't require it.
No, they don't require it.
And so Qmerit installed this.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like? Basically, they must have been the first non-Sunrun installation.
So you know, Qmerit has installed a few of these by now.
Okay.
But what we did was they actually used my installation here to make a video to train their other electricians. So we had a full film crew here.
That's where you got those nice shots from.
Recording everything of what was going on, and because they used it to make a video so the Qmerit installers can install this in their customers' houses because they want a piece of that pie too. You know, Sunrun is doing the best they can, but I don't know if they're equipped to do a national rollout on something like this. I mean, they're a solar installer primarily. And, you know, there's a lot of people been asking about it, and Qmerit's got a good national reputation, and I know a lot of my followers have contacted Qmerit to install this system. I've been told that by Qmerit that,
That's awesome.
you know, they saw that it worked because, quite honestly, when this first started getting installed, when people were getting them installed, a lot of them didn't work. You know, Nikki Gordon Bloomfield had it installed. She took her months to get it to function.
I remember.
And I don't know if it was the installer's fault or if it was faulty equipment. I really don't know why it wasn't working.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were reporting on the forums, the system just doesn't work. Qmerit came in here, installed it, boom, first shot, everything worked.
It worked.
I made a video. I said, look, you know, it's working, and I think I was actually the first video.
Yeah, you were.
Of it functioning.
Yes,
there were
absolutely.
other videos of people showing it, but it didn't work.
Right.
So yeah,
this battery, just to start here, this will be the first line of defense to power everything. How big is this battery?
I know it's a lithium-ion battery. I don't know how big it is. I had the specs. I knew it, but I don't remember.
Okay, but how long do you think it would keep the system ready?
Oh,
because if you're like away for a week,
a long time. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think that's an issue at all.
Okay, good.
Because it's using very little power.
Sure, just to keep some lights on somewhere.
Yeah, it's using very little power. So,
this also replaced your solar inverter.
yes. So I have, as we talked about 9 kW solar system. I had 2 inverters. Here's one, it's still existing, and I had another one here. So this replaced one of the inverters, and basically half my system runs through the Ford inverter now. And this also, when the power comes from the lightning, it's going to come as DC.
Right.
And it comes into this inverter and it changes it to AC.
So can it blend the solar and the truck?
It can. I just, quite honestly, don't know how it works.
Oh, yeah.
I'm confused a little bit, and I've asked for some answers with Ford and Sunrun about what happens when, let's say my solar array is producing more energy than what the house is consuming.
Right.
What happens? Where's that extra power go? I don't know at this point.
Right.
But I know
it might
works.
be grounded. There might be a
grounded. It might
resistor.
I'm not sure how it works, but I know it does work because.
And what happens if you overload the solar?
What do you
like,
mean?
would it just shut off the house? If you have the solar not producing, let's say the solar's only producing 2 kilowatts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you
Overload.
plug
Yeah.
in something. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure what would happen with that, to be honest with you.
We got to do some testing.
Yeah, well, it's
Start
here.
pulling
It's
some
here.
switches.
It's here. Let's do it.
Yeah. Good.
So, but yeah, so that's how it works. So, and the cool thing about it is the way my system is currently set up. When we have a power outage, my solar shuts off. That inverter isn't island. It doesn't shut itself off from the grid. So I used to lose my solar generation, but now when we have a power outage, I'm at least getting the solar generation that runs through this guy here.
And how many kilowatts is this doing? 4.5 or so?
Yeah, about 4.
Okay.
About 4.
Yeah.
It's not. It's or maybe a little less than 4. It's like 3.9 or something like that. Yeah.
But this is a newer unit than this by quite a bit.
Yeah.
So this is probably
Well, that's
better.
14 years old.
This is probably more efficient. All around,
I'm sure
much
it is.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I had this system installed in 2009, so you know, and it's been great. Never broke, never had a problem. Just keeps working.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So basically, this is, you know, as complicated as you can get, because you had the truck with not only charging but backup power.
Backup power.
You had the generator,
yeah.
solar,
Yeah.
and like
2 different inverters, and they had function and communicate. Oh, by the way, this is the sub panel for the Ford Intelligent Backup Power. These are the circuits that it's powering.
So
here.
when it becomes islanded, right? When this switches, this is where the power goes.
Yeah, it's from the solar or the truck.
Right.
You know?
But even when it's all working, power's still running through these, right?
Yes, yeah. Right now it is, because this panel powers this.
Okay, I see. So that has 2 inputs then.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, complicated. What's your recommendation to our viewers who want to have like the ultimate home energy situation like you have do you think a generator is still needed today? Do you think this is a replacement? What's your impression?
You know, maybe the ultimate, instead of the natural gas generator, would be a lot of on-site energy storage, battery.
Yeah.
You know, I think that would be ideal, but you need a lot. Like if you know, if you have a solar array and you could be producing, if you have extended power outages, like we had 15 days when we had Hurricane Sandy.
Wow.
There was another bad storm we had here where we had power for 12 days, another one 10 days.
So maybe just do a 2-week plan.
If it's in the winter and there's snow on my panels,
yeah.
now what do I do if I don't have the natural gas generator? Those batteries aren't going to last forever.
Right.
So there's no perfect solution. Well, the permanent natural gas generator is perfect for here in New Jersey. They're not great in California, because when they have earthquakes, they shut the gas supply off.
Right.
So it's different. Like there's no one answer for everything, Kyle. You know, I like on-site energy storage. I do like the vehicle systems, because think about it. My Lightning's got a 140 kilowatt hour battery pack.
Yep.
How many power walls do you have to buy to get 140 kilowatt hours?
It would pay for a whole Lightning.
So you know,
probably more.
It's you know, we have to figure out the best way to utilize that energy storage you have. This is phase one. This is the first of its kind. These systems are going to get better. They're going to get cheaper. They're going to get more efficient. They're going to be able to work with different systems. Right now, I don't think this works with a Powerwall.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't think the Ford system can communicate with the Powerwall. That has to happen. These systems have to be able to communicate with stationary energy storage.
We need a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be code written so that I can plug the Lucid into this like it is now and act as backup, and hopefully these
100%.
conversations are happening.
It's going to happen, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You know, it's just... this is the first of its kind. It wasn't going to come out of the box and be the best of everything and do everything right.
But it's still pretty cool.
It's still pretty cool. It's expensive. All in, the average person can probably expect to spend somewhere between $10,000 and $13,000 for this system.
That's a lot.
With your installation, with the installation of the Charge Station Pro.
Yep.
With it, probably you're going to need a service upgrade. The kit's $4,000. The labor's going to be $6,000. It's very expensive, but it's really cool that your car can power your house.
And it's cool that it was ready pretty much at start of production for Lightning. This didn't come out like 5 years after the truck. This was like 5 months after the truck.
I got this delivered 3 months after I got my truck.
Crazy. So Ford was like on it. They wanted this to be a part of it. I don't think maybe all of them realized the economics until now, because when we first reviewed the truck in Texas and all that, they were like, look at all this cool stuff. And we haven't really heard them talk about it since.
Yeah.
So
it's an expensive system. But again, I think there's enough people that you know, do have the excess money that want it, because it's a cool thing to have. You know, listen, a lot of our purchasing decisions aren't based on, you know, financial sense.
Ones and zeros and all the numbers.
I want it. You know, your dad just bought a Lucid Air.
Right.
Okay.
He doesn't need it.
$100,000 on a car. Right. You know. So your dad could spend $13,000 on a home energy backup system if he wanted to. There's enough people out there, but for the everyday, you know, working class guy that, you know, is paying his bills and sending his kids to college, this probably isn't the best solution for home backup.
But it paves the way to a path towards that.
We have to start somewhere.
Yes.
This is a necessity. It's like the $10,000 plasma TV set, you know, of 25 years ago or whatever, you know.
Yes.
If nobody bought them, I wouldn't be able to get that 85-inch Sony for $1,500 on the 4th of July sale last summer, you know.
Well, I can't thank you enough for the full tour of all the units. Your knowledge of level 2 charging and DC charging is crazy. We're going to have a video on Tom's channel, I believe, in, I don't know, whenever that goes up.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for watching this extremely long tour of the most complicated house in America.
Thanks for listening to my boring talk about home charging, explaining all the charging, and now this is pretty cool, though. You got to admit.
I loved it all.
This system's pretty cool.
I thought it was great. So thanks for sticking with us if you did. We'll see you on another one soon. Bye-bye.